I'm reminded of a quick story that the president of my university loved to say all the time. He had this class that he'd stand up in front of all the freshmen, and he'd talk for, about an hour and a half once a week. And it was a really cool experience because we got to learn a lot, and you also got to sit in front of the president, and it was like, oh wow, this is pretty unique. And so a story he told about that exact phrase, who are you and where are you going, there was a rabbi that was walking along a road to Damascus, and this was in the time of the Romans, and so he came upon a Roman checkpoint and a Roman fortress, and at the wall the Roman soldier called down, and the rabbi, he had been so busy and deep in thought and prayer that he didn't even bother to look up, and he ran straight into the gate. And so this Roman soldier called down to him, who are you and where are you going? And he looked up at the Roman soldier and said, how much do they pay you? And the Roman soldier was a little perplexed, and he said, well, they pay me 7 denarii a month. And the rabbi said, I'll pay you 3 times that if you follow me and ask me that every morning. Because what the rabbi's getting at, and what this story gets at, is that it's such an important question that we have to stop and ask ourselves, who are we and where are we going? To remind ourselves of what is our identity, and to know that if our identity is not where we want it to be, and I know identity is a very big buzzword right now, if our identity is not in line with where we want to go, or if we're in some sort of chaotic bubble, if we have some existential stress, if we have, negative feelings about ourselves, that our identity then, something we believe about ourselves and who we are, and subsequently where we're going, is not aligned with flourishing. And our bodies and our minds know that, right? When we adopt a stance that isn't good, we get a gut feeling. Sometimes we get anxious, we get sweaty. When we try to, I don't know if you've ever done this, I certainly have, imagine, where you've extended past your argument and your knowledge base, and then you start to say things that aren't true at all, or things that at least you don't know are true, and you get in over your head very quickly, and so you get flushed and you get frustrated, and then you get a little bit more emotional, and you might get more elevated, and it's just not a great place to be. And all that time, your body's telling you to shut up, right? You're breathing a little heavier, you're getting sweaty, your face is flushed, and you're like, oh man, I just want to scram, but you don't, and you keep, because you're really stubborn like me maybe, and you keep doing it, and that's okay, right? That's okay, we're all human. But the important thing is that what we're doing is we're figuring out, and we're always kind of questioning that, and as long as we're in line with our identity, as long as we've figured that out, who we are, what are we as a human, all that stuff, specifically in this case, who are we as a healthy person, what does that mean, then we can figure out where we're going, and we won't have that anxiety, we won't have that, we'll be very in line with what we have on the inside. And it's important too, because this helps us trust our vision, and it helps you know that what you're doing is good. And Friedrich Nietzsche, the famous and maybe notorious philosopher that I know I've mentioned before and done videos on, just paints an excellent picture of what the good is. And he says that there's nothing better than what is good, and good is having some ability and using it to create, in that Italian Renaissance sense. And so it's simple, right? What is good? Are we doing good? Are we creating? Are we having our ability and using it to create? Because that's the whole goal, right? In our path towards success is to do good. At least I hope it is. Otherwise, you're very Mephistophelian, and it's like, okay, that's not great. And maybe we should talk about that. You should work through your childhood issues. That's important. But really what that's telling me is that we have a purpose, and that purpose, and Nietzsche goes on to say that the Italian Renaissance of idea of virtue is very moral free. It's morally free, he says, and that really there's no better thing for us to do than to use our ability to create, whether it's creating healthy habits, whether it's creating a business, whether it's creating a podcast, whatever it is, right? That we're using our ability to create, and they're creating for the case of creation, because that's our ultimate goal, which I think is just a beautiful picture for us, and a beautiful motivation for us too to kind of lean in towards.